In 2025, America's retail and food industries are facing a full-blown crisis. From mass store closures to skyrocketing prices, major chains like Walmart, Kroger, Target, Dollar Tree, and Amazon Fresh are being hit hard by the Trump administration's new tariff policies. Walmart, the largest retail chain in the U.S., is facing major difficulties in keeping operations running. The company announced the closure of at least 11 stores in early 2025 and is expected to shut down more locations later this year. According to Walmart CFO John Rainey, a 10% tariff on avocados imported from Costa Rica and a 15% tariff on bananas from Mexico will drive up costs, which will then impact the retail prices of these items. Banana prices at Walmart could rise by about $0.3 per bunch, which is a 20% increase for this item. A 10% tariff on avocados pushes the price from $2.5 each to $2.75, an increase of 10%. Even though the price increase for each individual item is not huge, when added up across the entire shopping cart, an average American household could end up paying $30 to $50 more per month for essential groceries and household products. This could raise total annual spending from $3,600 to $3,802.2, an increase of $202.2. Assume a low-income household earning an average of $30,000 per year. They spend the majority of their income on food and household items, about 40% of their income, or $12,000 annually. If the prices of essential goods rise by 10 to 15%, this family will have to spend an additional $1,200 to $1,800 per year on food and household products. This means the added cost could take up 3% to 4% of their annual income, increasing financial pressure and potentially forcing them to cut back on other expenses like healthcare or tuition. Dollar Tree and Family Dollar, two well-known U.S. chains known for offering low-cost products, especially for low-income families, are also being heavily impacted by tariffs. In fiscal year 2024, Dollar Tree closed 695 stores and is planning to shut down another 370 in the near future. This is part of a restructuring strategy aimed at offsetting revenue losses and coping with the effects of tariffs. Tariff hikes of 20–30% on imported goods from China and other countries have significantly affected both Dollar Tree and Family Dollar. These chains heavily rely on importing low-cost products from international markets, especially China. The items they provide to consumers include processed foods, household supplies, and affordable everyday goods. For example, if you typically spend $300 a month at these stores, rising prices could push your monthly bill up to around $307 to $310.5. That might not seem like much to some, but for low-income households, this added cost can become a real financial burden over time. Dollar Tree's $1 model has long been a unique business strategy, selling everything at a fixed price of just $1. It specifically targets low-income shoppers, particularly in rural and urban areas, where people are looking for essential goods at affordable prices. That's been a key factor in Dollar Tree's lasting appeal, especially during tough economic times. However, this model is now struggling to survive under the weight of tariffs. As import costs rise from countries like China and Mexico, the store can no longer maintain the $1 price point, undermining the very foundation of its business model. Once prices creep above $1, customers, especially those with tight budgets, will start looking elsewhere for better deals. These are the core customers Dollar Tree depends on. As a result, customer loyalty is dropping and shoppers are moving to stores not hit as hard by tariffs. That means fewer purchases and shrinking revenue, ultimately weakening the chain's overall performance. Kroger, the second largest retail chain in the U.S., has announced plans to close 60 stores over the next 18 months, representing about 5% of its total locations. Kroger relies heavily on sales of essential items like rice, cereals, and canned goods, staples for many households, especially low-income families. When 25% tariffs push up the prices of these goods, the cost of ingredients rises, driving up the retail prices of items such as rice and canned foods. Financial experts predict that Kroger could face losses of up to $100 million in the next quarter due to the added cost from tariffs. Kroger has started scaling back promotions like direct discounts and product-specific coupons. Instead of offering weekly deals, The company is shifting toward a discount store model focused on cutting operational costs rather than providing attractive promotions. This change makes many loyal customers feel they are losing value when shopping at Kroger, leading to fewer store visits. This not only reduces Kroger's appeal, but also weakens its ability to retain customers long-term, causing damage to both revenue and brand reputation. Target, one of the largest retail chains in the U.S., reported that its first quarter revenue fell 3.8% in May 2025, resulting in nearly $10 billion in lost market value. A 30% tariff on imported goods from China has pushed Target's product prices up by 10–15%, especially for fresh foods, household goods, and electronics. To reduce the impact of tariffs, Target has cut the size of certain products, including fresh vegetables, bread, and other perishable items, leaving customers unhappy with the changes. This has the potential to erode customer loyalty, as shoppers feel they're getting less value for familiar products. Frustrated customers may turn to competitors that continue to offer stable product sizes and quality, which could reduce Target's revenue and long-term customer appeal. The drop in customer loyalty has severely affected Target's revenue and profit. Since the company cannot easily replace fresh products with lower-cost alternatives, its first quarter revenue fell 3.8% in May 2025, wiping out nearly $10 billion in market value. Fresh food sales were hit hardest, with revenue from produce and meat down 5–7% compared to the same period last year. These changes have significantly cut into Target's profits, creating major financial pressure to keep operations running. Amazon Fresh, Amazon's online grocery retail service, has also been hit by tariffs. Even though Amazon has invested heavily in its online sales model, shipping and warehousing costs have risen sharply due to tariffs. A 25% tariff has significantly increased Amazon Fresh's operating costs, especially for fresh items like vegetables, fruits, and meat. Several Amazon Fresh stores were forced to close in 2025, particularly in major cities, as costs could no longer be balanced with revenue. In one example, warehousing and shipping expenses rose by about 15–20% due to tariffs and higher fuel prices. This made it impossible for urban Amazon Fresh locations, where rent is already expensive, to cover their operational costs through sales. Reports show that stores in Los Angeles and New York had to close because revenue couldn't keep up with the high costs of maintaining storage and shipping operations. Low-income households, which already spend most of their budgets on food and essential products, are the group hit hardest by these new tariffs. These families will have to spend a larger share of their income on food, forcing them to cut back on other necessities like healthcare or education. Projections show that food expenses could account for 15–20% of total income for low-income households, creating significant financial pressure. To save money, consumers may reduce their shopping or switch to lower-quality products, which lowers their standard of living and can harm health, especially when fresh, nutritious food becomes harder to afford. As prices for essentials rise, consumers will look for cheaper alternatives. For example, fresh vegetable prices have risen 15–20%, pushing many families toward processed or frozen foods, even though they are less nutritious. A Yale University study found that about 40% of consumers changed their shopping habits in 2025, opting for cheaper products that don't fully meet nutritional needs. With higher living costs, consumers are reducing spending on non-essential items like entertainment and travel. For instance, travel spending dropped 12% in 2025, while the entertainment sector saw a 10% decline in revenue. These cutbacks not only lower quality of life but also negatively impact the broader economy by reducing overall demand, hurting service, tourism, and consumer industries. From Walmart and Dollar Tree to Kroger and Target, America's retail giants are facing a crisis triggered by the new tariffs. Prices are climbing, stores are closing, and long-standing business models are being disrupted, pushing consumers, especially low-income families, into harder times than ever before. Whether Washington will have the courage to change its policies to rescue the retail industry and ease the burden on everyday Americans remains an open question.